I want to dive into what I learned last year as an experiment when I was planting potatoes. It was just one of those special aha moments, and I decided to just run with it. So let's run with what happened. Have you ever wished that you could grow more stuff in a raised bed without compromising the plants, as in making them more crowded? Today I'm going to show you an unusual but effective way to manage two crops in the same space at the same time, using potatoes as one of the crops. It's an experiment I tried last year and I was so happy with the results. I'll be repeating it this year. I even gave it a name. SOS Potatoes. That stands for Sprouts on Potatoes. Let me explain how I did it, and once you see how it's done, I'm sure you'll come up with ideas for how you can accomplish something similar in your garden. Okay, let's do this. Now, I don't have a lot of room in my garden, but what I did last year is I designated one raised bed for this experiment. And you'll see that it's actually covered with fishnet, because sometimes I have little issues with birds, right? So I started by digging a trench down here, and then I planted what I call drop-in potatoes. These are smaller potatoes. They're not as big as the ones that, like about this size that you would use to cut up and then plant. Instead, I use these little guys, and they're called drop-ins. And I learned about drop-ins from, a potato scientist in Palmer, Alaska. And he said they're much better because they're less susceptible to rot. When you cut up a potato, even though you might heel them over the cut areas, and he preferred to use the drop-ins because he says people usually forget about these guys and don't even bother with them, but I've used drop-ins ever since. Now, when your potatoes pre-sprout like this, that's a good thing. And this is called chitting. No, it's not a swear word. Chitting your potatoes. Anyway, so I then planted the potatoes in the trench, and then I hilled it up. After that, I planted on top specialty seeds. These are great mixes. Anytime you see mesclun mixes and mustard mixes and braising mixes, these are just like those fancy greens, these small specialty greens you buy in the store for an arm and a leg. And Renee's garden has some great varieties, like this stir-fry mix here. Oh yeah, winter greens, this is a great one. And that's because I really like radicchio. But look for cut and come again, whether it's mustards, or kale mixes. Anyway, all these are great to plant on top. After a while, the greens start to grow. I figure about 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks before the potatoes will pop up from the bottom. Okay, now here's a side view of what we're looking at. Here are the greens growing on top, and then down below, buried in the soil, and so on, these are the drop-in potatoes. And like I said, I got about 2 or 3 weeks before they reach the top. What's important to do, though, is to stay very aware and check on the plants. So what I do is I just peel away or push away as I harvest these greens, and lo and behold, there is a little potato shoot that popped up. Here's a side view, here's an end view of what it looks like at the bed, the end of the bed, and there's that little potato shoot. This is a little late, but this is the first time I've ever done this before. And I learned my lessons, and I'm all set to try it again next year. So as I pulled away and harvested these greens, right? Then I wanted to make way for these shoots coming up. And you can see where, oops, I'm sorry, I cut those guys' heads off. Now, where did I put all these greens that I cut off? The compost pile! Yes, the compost pile! After I pulled all the greens, you can see the potatoes coming up. And this is what the harvest looked like. So the mixed greens are pulled away, the potatoes continued to grow, and oh my gosh, I got a great harvest. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the garden.